Well, hi, it's Marita. I am author of Living with Grace, and I'm here today with Kristen Scanlon of Talk Positive because she was very instrumental in having me keep Grace because Grace was a naughty kitty. I say naughty, but now I understand with Kristen's perspective. She was very traumatized, and honestly, we didn't appreciate how hurt she was physically and how traumatized she was emotionally. And I kind of want to take you to a story that's I cover in the book. I'm fairly confident I will give you more details verbally here, but we'll bring in Kristen's perspective as well. So I rescued Grace and from a rescue and she had been hit by a diesel truck and left for dead. But I'm honestly, I'm surprised and kind of shocked that I didn't see what I should have seen, because I am a traumatic brain injury survivor as well. And what we tend to do is closed injury. You know, if I have a broken arm and I got a bone sticking out, that's like, oh my God, let me take care of you. But when we have a closed injury, that's not just physical, it's trauma. We don't, we just don't understand it. We don't appreciate it at the level that it really should be appreciated. And so she acted out, I'm assuming for many reasons, but the behavior was she was not using the litter box. And I was just like, oh, please. I mean, I'd had a cat that rarely, she was this regal queen, and she was a very good, well-behaved cat. And to go from that to this, peeing wherever you want to do oh my God, that cat, she was in the laundry room a lot and she didn't like that little room. I don't like it in this little room, but I could clean it, right? I could clean it easily. So to make a long story short, a friend of mine came over and she really encouraged me she goes, you got to talk to Kristen. You got to talk to Kristen. And so at any rate, we were all on the deck, and it's like Grace can be outside of that little room as long as she's on the deck because there's no carpet on the deck. And we did a phone call with Kristen, and she kind of talked me off the ledge. And that right here is kind of where I want to go to Kristen. And it's not that I expect her to remember, because I don't really remember what she said. I remember that she addressed the trauma. And so take it away, Kristen, and tell us what you remember of that afternoon that was so pivotal for me and for Grace, because I was going to give her back. How do you give back a cat? I don't know, but I was going to figure it out.
Well, and many people do, because they don't understand the trauma. We as people are taught that animals are just animals. Mm-hmm. That they should just behave a certain way and they should be a certain way, because that's just how it is. We get a cat or a dog or some animal, and they should just instantaneously bond to us, or they should instantaneously do exactly what they're expected to do, like go in the litter box, bark to go outside, be well behaved, not have accidents, be perfect.
Right.
And perfect, that's a Grace thing, right? She had to learn to not be perfect and to embrace that brokenness. So, and that's later on in the book, if I'm not mistaken, because she truly taught and learned how to live with grace. Mm-hmm. But I believe that was our very first true interaction with animal communication. And I remember getting the call. I remember getting the message, Chris, can you help? Mm-hmm. And I know, Marita, you're like, I don't know if this can help, but at least I'll try it.
Well, when you're at the end of it's not that I was not familiar with animal communication.
No, but it's usually a last, to be out, like we had talked before, it's usually a last resort. It's not until you make it a way of living.
Exactly.
oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I might as well try it because nothing else has worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Grace being, on one hand, she liked that little room because she knew what to expect.
Mm.
And I remember also, why can't you understand what I've been through? And you just
Which,
expect me to do what you want, you
yeah,
know?
that's shocking to me that I didn't get it. I mean, because,
But
yeah.
you don't, I mean, that's not and I don't, it's just tends to be how we function.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that animal communication piece is to help to bring people out of that mode of, look, put yourself in their paws.
Great.
How would you react if you were abandoned on the side of a road? I don't know, was she pregnant at the time, or did she already have?
Yes. Nope,
Okay,
she
so
was
she was
pregnant.
pregnant at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
she has these babies that she's trying to protect in her belly. She knew she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to get to safety. Abandonment. Now she has abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Pregnant. So put yourself in that situation. You've been abandoned. You're on the side of the road. You don't have a home. You don't know where your food is going to come from. You have, you don't know where your shelter is going to come from. You don't know if you're going to be able to be warm. You don't know if you're going to be able to stay out of the rain. You don't know anything. And now all of a sudden you're in pain because you were hit by a car.
Right.
Did your baby survive? Are you going to survive? What's going to happen to you? And if you put yourself in that situation, what happens to you? You want to just kind of curl up and trauma. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
you have flashbacks, you have PTSD now. There's all sorts of things that happen. It is no different for an animal.
Right.
So helping that become your awareness
Mm-hmm.
helped you through the rest of the time that you had with Grace.
Right.
And I think once that happened, I don't remember exactly everything, but she was pissed off. Who wouldn't be, for not at you,
Right. Right.
but at, what the hell did I just have to go through? That's not fair,
Right.
right? As a human being, we go through trauma and we go through all those stages of grief. We go through all those stages of anger, acceptance, bargaining, right? So
Right.
we go through all of that. So do they.
Right.
They're sentient. If we can look at ourselves as we are on equal footing as them,
Mm-hmm.
just because they're smaller, they have 4 legs and are furry, and they do speak English, or they speak French or German or whatever language you speak, but you just can't hear it until you tune in.
Exactly.
So they have those same things. We are no different. Then you put yourself in their paws
Mm-hmm.
and imagine what she was feeling and what she had to do to get through what she went through.
Right.
I think that's what that was about, her peeing outside the box. Well, she was pissed off. And then there's always it's always really tough when someone calls about an animal peeing outside the box, because it's not always that they're pissed off. A lot of times they actually have an infection.
Oh, but she wasn't pissing outside the box, honey. She was pissing not
Everywhere.
anywhere near the box.
Right.
Not
Right.
anywhere near
It's
the box.
everywhere.
So yeah, I don't even know. It was just it was so maddening for me. Like, this is
Right.
not
How do
how,
you do
I
that?
don't want to play this game. That's kind of where I
Right.
don't want to play like this. Be nice.
Right.
Here's
And
your
neither did
toilet.
she.
You know?
But she was just like, well, I
Ah,
just gotta go, right?
yeah, yeah.
And at the same time, she's also used to that. When she was outside and having to fend for herself, she didn't have to look for a box. She just had to go. So, and then there was also issues with her pelvis. It's not going to work properly once she had a broken pelvis, right? That was part of,
Um,
did it crack at all?
no, it did not. I don't remember that. I know that I actually took her to a kitty chiropractor,
Right?
but I can't remember. She had a funny little gait, funny little walk and a
Mm-hmm.
cock of the head. She had fractured tooth. It's almost like she got impacted in the head, just like I
Yeah.
did, right? It's
Yeah.
not the similarities. are quite interesting.
And she's out of alignment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to take that into consideration. Was part of that alignment? Was it part, there's so many combinations that go into this kind
Exactly.
of thing.
Exactly.
Exploring all of them. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination, I was just contacted by my sister whose cat was peeing on the couch and peeing on this. And I'm like, and she's like, he's mad at me because I don't let him to go outside. And I'm like, no, he's not. He has an infection. It's just like, we just got done with a run of antibiotics. I said it wasn't strong enough.
Wow.
His belly hurts. He couldn't care less about going outside. One, he wants your attention and your time. Yes, because you give the dog more attention. She gets to take her dog to work with her, so that's a nice thing. And here's Pippin going, what about me? But he also isn't feeling well.
Right.
And she thought, well, but I gave him antibiotics. They weren't the right ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's like, okay, I'll call in the morning, so we do it. And I do it with mine too. I'm not completely innocent at stuff like that. So it's easy to fall into that. Well, I'm human. I know better than you. Yeah.
Well, we think we do, but we don't, right?
Right. Or we misinterpret, or it happens.
We do the best we can in the moment with what we've got.
Exactly. And awareness. It's just all awareness. So you did exactly what you needed to do. We would not have met the way we met without her doing what she did.
Yeah. Yeah, but whatever,
woven together.
What I recall most from that conversation, I don't remember what you said, but I remember you bringing in all of these other variables. It's not just a behavioral issue with Grace. It had to do with the trauma and the PTSD. And I do remember, I think honestly, I talked with a communicator, and she said, well, this is your forever home, right? And Grace hadn't realized that was that this was it, because she'd been so used to whatever she was used to,
Right.
And she didn't know. And that made her very happy, because and I can't remember how she said it, but she's like, oh, the energy here is so nice. It's so peaceful. Like it was a place, an oasis, if you will, of where she could heal once she found that trust. In fact, what's interesting is day one, when she came the next day, right? I love to be on my deck, and she was out. We were outside. This was before I got Aria, because Aria needed a couple more weeks for something. So the two of us were on the deck in a diesel truck, not like a semi but a big ass loud diesel truck went by. And I'm a very quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
And she was terrified. I don't know where she was, but she was at that door so fast. And I went, oh, you weren't hit by a car. You were hit by a diesel truck. But by the end of our time together, she would not just be outside. She would be on the railing at the corner, sitting on there. She'd be like, that's her little perch. And then the cars drive by and she was just fine. So that trauma eventually healed. And that made my heart happy, that I could give her that.
Well, you gave her the space.
Yeah.
And once you had an understanding, it just sometimes takes reminders to get that understanding under control. Or not under control. That's not the best phrase. That understanding and that awareness. And okay, so now she's also in a new home. She's in a new place. What's happening? Like you said, there's so many variables.
Right.
Especially with a rescue animal. And really, they all are.
Yeah.
Unless you're the breeder and you had them from the time they were born.
Right.
They're rescue. And you don't know what happened those first few weeks or those first 6 months, 6 weeks or whatever. You don't know what they went through.
Right.
And they have to get used to a new space. Is this safe? Are you safe? You say you're safe. Can I trust that? Who can I trust? What can I trust? Is this my home? Because now you're pissed off at me, literally. So now you're going to you say this is my forever home, but is it really? Because, are you going to give me back just because you don't like what I'm doing? So they question, and some are just right there with you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll trust you. Aria, I think she's a little stinker at times, but she's always known that this is her home.
I use a different word. For the most part, it's little one, precious one, beautiful Aria.
You little
name. But she's over here somewhere. But sometimes she's quite honestly a little shit.
Yes.
But it's all love. I never, ever, like I'm never really angry with her. I don't have anything to be angry for. But
anyway.
Oh,
yes, I know that very well. I have one of my own.
Yeah, so. She is a little stinker. She's just a little funny girl. But anyway, well, this has been a delightful conversation. I have a feeling we're going to be doing more of this kind of interacting and allowing people to kind of get some behind the scenes stories. Let's just go with that. Behind the scenes stories of living with grace and communicating with animals. Take it broader. But thank you for joining me, Kristen. Thank you for joining us, you viewers. And Marita with Harmonic Wholeness, and Kristen with Talk Positive. Positive with positive. Bye-bye.
Bye.